Welcome to 30-Second Chances, where we ask deep, contemplative questions and provide far too little time to formulate thoughtful, reflective answers. My guest today is Mark Rubel of the Blackbird Academy. Mark, how you doing?
Fantastic.
I'm so glad to hear it. Trying not to get too excited here, okay? All right, you know the dance, 30 seconds on the clock, and on to the next question. Are you ready?
So ready.
All right. Question number one, describe your job to a 5-year-old.
I record people's ideas so that other people can experience them.
Ooh. I don't know. That's pretty deep for a 5-year-old, isn't it?
I record music so other people can hear it or dance to it.
There you go. There you go. That's a little more.
And I teach people to record music so that other people can hear it or dance to it.
Wow. There you go. Very succinct. I like that. All right, next question. What's the most unusual job or gig you've ever had?
Ooh. Well, other than playing in my silly rock and roll band, which is unusual, I was a hod carrier. I made mortar and carried it up and down ladders so that people could build natural stone fireplaces. That was a pretty cool job. I was in extremely good shape. But one of my favorite jobs was right after I got out of college, where I took 24 semester hours my last semester and over-intellectualized and almost blew my brains just with education. I got a job measuring wheat plants for the agronomy department. It was the perfect antidote to an intense college education. I had a yardstick and a notebook, and I would measure how tall the wheat plants were, 32 inches.
That is definitely pretty out there. Yeah. Okay, next question. What song or album do you wish you could listen to again for the first time, and why?
There are so many. There's so much music that I can't really listen to because I've listened to it so many times, and I just hear my memory of them. So I think I'm going to go with Dark Side of the Moon. I can't really hear Dark Side of the Moon anymore because it played at every party I went to in the 1970s. You know, it's the obvious thing for somebody of my age, or as it says in my vitamin bottle, wisdom, to say the Beatles, but I would go with Dark Side of the Moon. I'd love to hear that.
Nope. I have to agree with you. Absolutely. That's a good choice. Okay, next question. Tell me about a memorable prank you've either pulled or been on the receiving end of.
Memorable prank. Well, we used to be in the habit of pieing each other on our birthdays in my band, whipped cream pies in the face. And so it was the end of one of our shows where we always do the Star Spangled Banner and we sing lustily. So I'm standing there, we go, home of the brave, and I open my mouth, and somebody just hits me in the face with this pie, and I wasn't expecting it. And I got a piece of pie crust stuck in my throat. So I was choking on stage with my face covered in cream, and everybody thought it was hilarious. Right, this is...
Next question. In the spirit of the era here, tell me about your most memorable Halloween costume.
Oh, there are so many that I can't think of any of them. I think this was a Halloween. I don't remember. My band, as I say, is very silly, and especially in the early days. This band has been together for 42 years, by the way. You think we'd be good by now. But I think it was at this show, at least I'm going to say it was. We had a show, it might have been called, our band was called Captain Rat, but it was called Captain Rat Goes Ape. And may or may not have been Halloween, but the rest of the band dressed in gorilla costumes. And I dressed up in a banana costume with a gorilla head sticking out of the middle of it. And that was surreal, to say the least. I mean, I could get my hands out of it, but I couldn't really see what I was doing in order to play. But I think that was about as weird as we ever got.
Sounds like a bad acid trip or something.
Yeah,
next question. You've been captured via telephoto lens for a National Geographic special. What is the narrator saying about you and your native habitat?
Oh, wow. Telephoto lens. Why telephoto? They're far away.
Maybe you're in the Serengeti or something. Is there a studio out there?
So I'm in my natural habitat. So they say, there he is, the engineer producer. He feeds mostly on Hot Pockets and pizza. And look how deeply he's thinking with the furrowed brow, twiddling the knobs up and down, right? Action adventure. Of course, what they don't see is that the real action is going on inside one's head. And
I was actually thinking for a moment you were going to go for the whole telephoto lens thing and have a close-up of pores or something, but that's another story. All right, next question. What would 15-year-old you be most and least impressed with about present-day you?
15-year-old me. Well, 15-year-old me was radically into motocross racing and would be least impressed by the fact that I have never ridden a motorcycle on the street. I would fly them through the air and go at high speeds around mud tracks, past trees and things in Illinois, which is a terrible thing to have near a motocross track. So that would be least impressed. Maybe most impressed that I've somehow managed to get to this advanced age through music and through the making of music and getting to be around musicians.
It is rather amazing, isn't it, that we can maintain a career in this industry? All right, next question. You've just woken up as a fictitious superhero with a completely pointless or semi-useless superpower. Who are you and what's your superpower?
I am earworm remover man. I can deal with one of the worst occupational hazards of recording is getting music stuck in your head. And so with a zap of my earworm remover gun, that 8-bar fragment or that 2-note harmony or that song that's tormented you since you were in high school will be removed. And what was the second part of the question?
Oh, no. That was it right there. That was fantastic. You will get a call from me about every 3 days, probably.
I could use it myself.
No kidding.
Yeah.
All right, that concludes our regularly scheduled questions. I'm now going to put 30 seconds more on the clock and allow you to either answer for me a question you wish I had asked you, ask me a question, pontificate on life in general, shamelessly plug something, whatever you want. 30 seconds, it's all yours.
If I were to boil down the way that I think about record making and the way that I teach it, which is something I was just talking about in class today, it is that we're making movies for your ears. And so my approach is very cinematic and based in literature and painting and that kind of thing. I think it's a good way to think because if you can picture a situation, if you can picture a character, if you know how to engage somebody and develop them and create motion and create action, then you can answer all the questions that you will have in making a record. How much reverb should this person have on their voice? Where are they? Right? How many characters are you going to have? How big in your picture? How vividly you're going to light something, or how much detail you're going into things?
It's a good point. We talked about that earlier too. I think the idea of being very cinematic in your approach to making records. I've always really liked that idea.
I think it's an interesting way to think because it answers all of the small details that I've probably said this to you before, but people start with the details and try to derive a finished product. And I think if you have the finished experience in mind, all those questions are easier to answer by comparing where you are to where you're trying to get.
The big picture. Mark Rubel, thank you for being my guest.
Thank you, DLK. Much love to you.
Likewise.